All right, so now we're talking about angle, angle, side. And with angle, angle, side, you have two angles, and you don't know and you have one side, but it is not the included side. Now, this one's a bit trickier to do by construction. So let me give you some tips here. And on these, make sure it does say that you are supposed to write the steps you perform to construct the triangle. So in addition to doing the construction, write out how you did them. So now what you notice is we know side AB, but we only know the angles at A, and we don't know where C is. C is not known. And so here's what this guy says. He says, it might be helpful to construct angle B first and use that to create your triangle. So let's think about what we know about angle B. Angle B has to sum along with angle A, and angle C has to sum to 180 degrees. That's the Triangle Sum Theorem, that all three angles add up to 180 degrees. We also know that if we draw a straight angle, a straight line, that will equal 180 degrees. So here's my advice to you. Start by plotting point A on the line. Okay, create a line and plot point A. And then from that line, okay, right, using this as the starter line, right, you're going to copy this angle onto it, okay, using techniques for constructing a duplicate angle, a congruent angle. Then I would come over there and I would place C, the vertex C, right here at the same point, and then using this as a starter line, I would then construct angle C. So angle C is going to be like going up this line here, have a vertex here, and it's going to go off that way like this. And then what happens is your original starter line is going to come back here, and the gap between where angle C ends and the starter line, that's got to be equal to angle B. And so what you can do now is you can come and start another line. Start by measuring segment AB and using your compass, marking it and marking B. And then you can duplicate angle A and duplicate angle B and bring them together, and you'll find point C. That's the advice I have that this boy's trying to share with you. Find angle B first. And then, you're going to do your comparisons. Now, Thomas says that his triangle is not congruent because he drew a vertical starter line instead of horizontal. Does it really matter if it looks a little different because one was horizontal, one was vertical? They're still going to be congruent. The measures should still be the same. And it's because, once you've confirmed that the angles are the same, the third angle has to be the same as well, and then a side. And so, you can do angle, side, angle, just like angle, angle, side. So now you're just going to plot the points, do the measurements. I mean, this is the same stuff that we've been doing in the other ones. Write down the coordinates after transforming it, write down the lengths, and determine that you know that these triangles are congruent, and finally the proof. And here I would do exactly like we did in the last one. If two angles are congruent, then you have similar triangles. That means the third angle has to be congruent. You have a pair of corresponding sides that are congruent. That means that their ratio is equal to 1. As you place BC over EF, that equals 1. And furthermore, AB over ED has to equal 1 because the sides are proportional. AC over DF has to equal 1 as well. Multiplication shows you that AB equals DE and AC equals DF, just like we've been doing all along. Now that all three sides are proved to be equal and congruent, and the angles are congruent, then you can conclude the triangle's congruent by the definition of congruent triangles. And when you come down here now, you're going to start looking. You have to look at each one of these and try to figure out. Now, my advice to you is where it says triangle ABS, these can be tricky for kids because you see there's at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 triangles here. There's a bunch of triangles in here. So to make sure you're clear on what they're talking about, I would draw triangle ABS, right? And then triangle AVF, and see if you have one of these enough information to do either side, 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 angle, side, angle, or angle, angle, side. And basically, by separating them out, by drawing, and they don't have to be constructions, but just sketches of the triangles off to the side, will help you think through whether or not they're actually congruent. Same thing here. You can answer that question. You should be able to do all of these to determine if they are congruent. And then at the end, you can provide an illustration of each theorem. So you're going to have two triangles. You're going to show all three sides are congruent, side angle, side, etc. And that'll be the end of this lesson.